Okay, hi everyone. So oftentimes I get questions about the Teams functionality in Payroll Control Center. So just wanted to record a video on that. And so if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there's when you have a Payroll Control Center alert, there are really two methodologies that you can do to assign and clear these alerts. The first one is the typical use case where you assign it to individual admins on your team, right? And so what you'll see by this is if I come into this, I can go into specific alerts, and then I have processors. And so these processors are actually individuals right here. And so I can assign them directly to these individuals. Then there's other functionality where the individuals can claim the alerts themselves. But the other part of this and what it looks like is if you want to have Teams functionality. And so rather than assigning them to individuals, alerts based upon criteria will automatically go to a team. And so if I look at this, there's two applications you have here, Manage Teams and My Teams. And so the first one, Manage Teams, this is where you initially set up the teams and where you maintain teams and add people to it. So the prerequisite for this is you do have to set up a process to be Teams enabled, and you define that at the beginning with your configuration. And so now I did have this one. I created this for Canada. And so I'm going to come here and I'm going to come into edit mode. I'll edit the draft version of this. And so this is where you can come in and you can add new teams. And so you could do this any number of ways. So it could be location-based teams. It could be by folder of alerts. And so if I click into this, the first thing you do is you give a name to a team and you say, okay, this is Canada specific team. Then the second part of this is the criteria. So under what circumstances does an alert go to a specific team? And so in this case, I'm using policy ID or my folder of alerts, and I'm able to say, hey, whenever it's one of these folders, it goes to this team. But I can use other things like the type of employee or personnel sub area. So if I wanted to do it based upon the location of an employee, then I could choose Toronto or Canada, Vancouver, and select these. And so that's kind of how you decide, okay, all of these particular type of alerts go there. And then you have two types of roles. First one is team members. So these are the individuals on the teams that are assigned alerts. And then the second one is team leads. So who can see kind of the big picture overview of the alerts? And so in this case, SF admin will be able to access the My Teams application. So that's what this is specifically talking about. So a team lead has access to this application and then they can look at it. And so the idea here is you'd create the teams you'd need and then assign individuals to those teams. There is functionality here to check the setup of a team, and this is going to tell you if there's any overlaps, if there's gaps as well, right? So in this case, it says, hey, all of these alerts in this policy ID are actually not assigned out. So if something came in for this, for these particular groups, then it doesn't have a team to go to. And so you can set up a default team in this case. And what this is just a catch-all, right? And so with team criteria, you don't define it. It's just, hey, anything that wasn't assigned to any other groups because it's not defined will automatically go to the default team. And so the reason I had that error in the other thing is that I have these two teams and I intentionally made it so there was they were getting the same overlap, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this and say, hey, this team is going to get all of the alerts that are in that my Canada localized alerts group. And then this one is going to get all of my global alerts. And so now that I've separated this out, I can check this out, and now it tells me the team setup is correct. So there's not an overlap for this anymore. And so if I make these changes, I can come in here and I can see, hey, this team actually doesn't have any people assigned to it. So if I want to, I can come here, select myself. I have a couple IDs here, and then I can decide who my team lead is. Okay. And then the last thing I need to do is, well, there's no point in the default team anymore because I only have 2 folders of alerts. And so this is actually defined in the manage processes application. So in this case, I have teams and I have these policy IDs. So all alerts will either go to this folder or this folder. And so with my teams, one of them will take one folder, the other one will take the other folder. So we did see how you can change it based upon personnel area or sub area or employee types or employee groups. And so I actually don't have a need for the default team. There is another way to set this up where I would just set one of these up as maybe the Canada specific one. And then I wouldn't really necessarily even need this. I could make the default team the global team. So all Canada alerts go here and all leftover ones go here. So that's just a different way to do it. But then once I'm ready, I can activate this. And so I'll do another video and actually show what it's like for the assignment of teams. And so watch out for that one as well. Thanks.